Hi, it's 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Saving Time. I'll read some more of The Adventures of Rebazar Tarz, new book 4 by Dwayne the Great Writer. This is so fun and great. While Earth people are lost to their polluting machines and their microwave goodies, they will not listen to something that makes real sense, I said as I watched the beautiful bees and butterflies move about. We should return to our hiding place in case the deceptors are patrolling around here, she said as I followed her back to the cave. When we returned, Shar and I decided to do a New You session together and move beyond this world. We both sat down beside each other, and after about 10 minutes we had moved our real awarenesses far above the terrain of the place our mental bodies were situated. Everything was a very soft stillness as I floated in clear sky. It took me a moment to consider what was taking place, and then I looked over and saw a ball of light beside me. I found it humorous at first and then realized it had to be Shar. I sent her an impression. "Lovely Miss Shar, is that you all lighted up?" I said. "Ha ha ha, of course it is me. This is great. I feel so free and wonderful." "You look like a ball of light, Dwayne," she said as I could still hear her laughing. "This is our real awareness, the part with no bodies attached. Consider yourself as you always have and your awareness will form itself," I said, as she immediately became the form of her body that was now all light. I did the same, and we held each other in our illuminated realness. As I held her, I could sense the great love this wonderful being is. We were both so responsive to each other. I had never even experienced this with Heather. "Oh, Dwayne, I can feel the awesome beauty of your sincerity for everything. I have never experienced such humility and sincerity before, nor even imagined that it could exist. You are so connected to the All Is. I can actually see it in your being. There are worlds upon worlds within you that are exposing themselves to me as I am with you. I have tried to imagine the real universes, but this is so much more than I could ever consider," she said. "I see the same in you, Shar, and all the reality that you are. We are no longer confused and restricted by the emotional and mental baggage of the other bodies and their ties to the psych realms," I said. "Can we go and never come back to those awful places of personal identity? I am no longer concerned about the fate of others, because I know they will make it out of the darkness someday. I feel so free and aware," she said. "You are just too beautiful, Miss Shar. We are warriors of the Is, and because we have the knowledge and awareness we do, we must continue on with what we have come here to do. We both have a great love for others, and in the true sense, our hearts want to live the courage of providing what very few will. We can come here whenever we want to," I said. "Yes, you are right. I do want to continue the adventure with your personal self and a lot more," she said. "While we are here, let's do a little exploring. I know that this is your first time here, so let me show you around, I said. We continued upward into the sky until we came to the awesome level above the mental worlds. I took Shar to the places I had been in this area with RT. After a while, we went upwards again to the top of the psych realms, and the fairy-type wonderment of seemingly worlds with floating continents of huge cities made of precious gems. As we were floating through the wide openness, we saw a light in the distance that kept coming closer. Then there were two lights, and they took on forms in front of us. It was RT and Gopal Das. "Hello, my friends," said RT with an impression. "Please follow us." RT and Gopal went upward as we followed until we came to the deep, dark border. Then they created a road of light into the real universes. We followed them as they flew above the lighted pathway until we came to the entrance to the 7th level. I could tell that Shar became exceedingly ecstatic with the experience. Oh my, who would believe such a place exists? I thought what we were experiencing was wonderful, but this place is beyond anything that can be considered. I can feel the great sincerity of everything and all the beings here. The light is so incredible compared to anything in the other worlds, she said as we moved further along into this real universe. I watched her as she moved about and absorbed all the light and sound that entered her being and more so illuminated her. Then I got a surprise. Shish appeared before me. "Dwayne, my beloved, you have come to visit," she said as she embraced me. I was so overjoyed to see her and said, "It seems like centuries with all that I have been through, Shish, since I have seen you. I can tell this place suits you." And then we both laughed. "You have brought a new friend with you. She is a lovely being that will be a great companion for you while you are trying to save the humans from themselves. I have a surprise for you," she said, and as she did, several other beings began to appear. It took me a moment, but here they were, my parents when I was an Indian in my previous life, and Sonia and her sister Rosa. I had almost forgotten them. They all came over to me as we embraced each other with a great joy. "Dwayne, thank you so much for putting up with me during that lifetime. I am so grateful to you for having the courage to do what you did on Earth and at that time. There are actually others that are here because of what you presented and shared with so many. I can see that you are finally ready to help others get out of the dark levels into the great lighted world," she said as she hugged me close. "Hello, Dwayne," said Sonia. "I have so missed you. What a wonderful journey you are providing for all those that are ready to come home. When you eventually return here for good, you are going to have a lot of heavenly wives to deal with," she said as everyone laughed and she hugged me. Then my parents came over and we just hugged. I could tell they were very happy here, and I knew I would be back someday. "We must return to the mental worlds and continue with our adventure," said RT as we said our goodbyes, and Shar and I followed RT and Gopal back down to the lower worlds. I soon woke up with a kind of jolt back into the mental body. I felt a little numb, but it soon went away. As I sat up, Shar opened her eyes and immediately put her arms around me and kissed me. Then she became very romantic. After what seemed to be a while, we started to talk again. Did all that just really happen, Dwayne? It was so amazing. I can really see now why you risk your life for what you are doing with the real guides and have no real concern for yourself. Just being out of this body is so great, yet nothing can compare to the world of the seventh level, nothing, she said with such sincerity. I know, it has always been hard for me to leave that level, and shish also. No matter how good a life you can manage in these lesser realms, it can never compare to the real universes. The seventh level is beyond belief. But actually, as you go higher into the invisible and unseen universes, it even gets better. The ultimate true reality of the is definitely tops everything, I said as I was resting from my wonderful experience with Shar. My life has now instantly changed, Dwayne. The incredible sincerity I experienced with you is something I want to hold on to forever. You are so adamantly sincere with your life and what you are doing. I am only now realizing all there is to you. It is hard for me to believe that others cannot see this in you, especially Heather. She is giving herself to her family and her job to once again become unconscious of what she can have right in front of her. She keeps putting off the greatest gift she could even ever imagine for more lifetimes of struggle within the Callum worlds. Thank you so much for trusting me, she said as she kissed me several times and became romantic again. Eventually, we took a break and walked outside into the nighttime air. What a life, I thought. It is really not that bad, even after all I have been through. I am still alive, you might say. It is all too amazing. I had to laugh as an impression suddenly came to me. Rebazar set all of this up so that we would meet, Shar. Of course he did. Isn't he sweet? It has been the destiny of the is that we are here, dude, she said, as she laughed and grabbed an apple from a tree. We walked around for a while and picked some fruit and then went back inside and slept for a while. I began to have strange experiences once more as I left my body. Shar was with me as we moved through strange and eerie areas of what would be part of this world from a subconscious arena. There were ghastly figures moving about and moaning about their life as though they were trapped and could not find their way around. We could see the entities here being tortured by brutal creatures. We ventured for the longest time over vast areas of decided bewilderment, then left and went back to our bodies. The mountain creatures. Rebazar returned just when the first of 3 suns started to rise in the early morning sky. We were just waking up and ready to go. Hello, you two. I can see that all is well. Shar, you can lead the way to the village of Tretta, where our friends are that will help us find Harry, said RT as we followed him outside. It was a beautiful, clear morning in the mental worlds of the God of Man. I had to admit that Callum had done a really great job with all the landscape design that he had created. I love the lush tropical look, and this place is full of it. I was continually amazed at the large butterflies and how many different ones there are and how really healthy they look. I always think of butterflies as little Tinker Bells. They were everywhere here. As we walked, they would come over and land on my shoulder and make these very subtle sounds. They see the light around us, Dwayne. They are looking for the is just like everyone else, said RT as he laughed. We walked, and it was fun, and I wasn't really tired. The suns kept rising in the sky. They were big balls of yellowish white light that reminded me of the Is. I am so much happier now with my life, with all that I have been through. I like the idea of a quest and to see what would come from all of this. I like the danger zone because there is always something to become more aware of. On Earth, Heather always wants me to be her idea of normal, where you just go to work and pay your bills and have your thrills with all the Disneyland phenomena that is produced by those who want to inherit the Earth. I like creating my life according to what I continually perceive with the Is. I will always promote what Rebazar and the boys are doing for all of life. We soon came to a very large mountain range that spread itself as far as I could see. We could fly over this place, but we risked being seen by the Deceptors. If they know we are still around and are continuing to make progress, the cattle might do some sacrifices with the public that will demonstrate what us rebels are doing and how we are interfering with the structured policy of his containment, she said. Just as Shar said what she did, several flying Deceptor SUVs flew over and circled the area we were in. All of us clung to some nearby rocks that were covered with large trees and hoping not to be seen. I'm sure you know a shortcut through the mountains, Shar, and you can lead us, said RT as he smiled. Yes, sir, I do, but it is not the safest way, yet it is better than a head-on meeting with the Deceptors, she said as she turned and led the way. Well, I just listened and followed as they led the way. I was just naturally enjoying the ride, you might say, and watching the sky at the same time. Every once in a while, RT would look back at me and smile as though he had a surprise waiting for us. As we got closer to the mountains, they became a lot bigger. Looking up at them, they looked a bit dark and awesome. Shar led us around some of the smaller humps until we were in a huge crevice with walls of mountains on all sides. It really looked as though there was nowhere else to go, and then she stopped and put her hand on a rock that looked like a lever, and abracadabra, a part of the rock structure opened up to a large door. Looking into the passageway, the place was very dark and really did look spooky. Suddenly, I did have a little drama going on within myself. How many unknown monsters would be encountering in there? I thought. Follow me and watch your hair. There are creatures in here that like your hair and they will try to get it, said Shar as she led the way through the darkness. RT and I still had a glow to our mental bodies so we could see somewhat. I had no idea where Shar was going, but Rebazar seemed to be okay with everything, so I just followed along. The dark and dingy place smelled rather bad. As we continued to walk, I could hear some funny sounds besides just our footsteps. For some reason, the path was easy to follow as we seemed to glide along. At times I could see beams of light across the darkness from above that broke through small openings to the surface. There were other exits to this place besides the one we were going to, I imagined. Then I saw something flying around as it passed through the small rays of light. It went swiftly like a scene in one of those really cheap monster movies. It went swiftly by like a scene in one of those really cheap monster movies. Watch out, there are some malignants flying about. They want to take your hair, so be careful, said Shar as she continued to move forward. I kept seeing these things flying around, and they were as big as us. When Shar first mentioned these things, I was thinking in terms of a bat, but now I was really concerned from what I saw. Then one of them flew down on the path in front of us, and then two more followed. They made noises like some kind of an animal trying to talk. They seemed to want to talk with Shar. It's okay, boys. He wants to talk with me, said Shar as she communicated with the creatures. Rebazar and I watched as Shar spoke to them and made certain gestures with her hands. These creatures were similar to a human frame, but they had very gnarly looking bodies that were strange colors, and they also had wings. They reminded me of some primitive tribe that you would find that had been in the wilderness since time began. We watched and waited for Shar to tell us what was happening. Then she turned and told us what was going on. I will read some more of The Adventures of Rebazar Tarz, New Book 4 by Dwayne the Great Writer, tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Saving Time. See ya.